Check.
All right,
check.
test 1, 2, 3.
Let's just-
Can't count more.
just singular 1. Oh my god.
When was the moment that you actually learned how to count? And obviously, I'm giving a chance to the Arab to say like, you mean to count the way we taught you? Ha 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 ha.
I mean.
There we go.
But it was actually interesting. Something in Slavic languages, I think, like for example, Balkans, you guys count like 30 and 2, or right, like 30 and 5. You say In Arabic, it's the other way around. You say 5 and 30.
That's
for example, and then it's always like a simple addition that you have to do. Right?
Close to French.
But if it's over the it's not this. No, French is stupid, and it's a waste
French
of time,
is ridiculous. I learned French, or I tried to learn French in college. I was like, man, how do you say 80?
26 minus 2 times 3.
It's stupid.
But in Arabic, also, once you start going to, like, if you go into 100, it's 100 and 5 and 30, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it makes
still
sense.
Some extra steps.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't ask me. But it makes intuitive sense in Arabic.
Like,
right?
remember when they taught us also to write in cursive? Like, that's beautiful, and I know how to write in cursive. I don't even know if they do it with the kids nowadays.
No,
they don't. Sound old. But like, when did you write in cursive last? I don't think, like, unless it's signing my name. I don't think I've done that in years.
Yeah, I stopped a long time ago.
In what's it called? I as part of my language acquisition, foreign language acquisition, I had to do cursive writing, and they had these notebooks where you had to practice like on lines, and the teachers beat my fucking hands silly. They fucking beat them bloody because my handwriting is dog shit. It is still to this day.
I knew you need to be a doctor.
Yeah, exactly right, guys. Up until high school, I would regularly have teachers go and look into my notes as I was writing. They would look at the pages, and then they would tear them out of my notebook and tell me to rewrite everything from the beginning, because apparently my handwriting was that bad. And by the way, it never fucking improved. All that fucking practice, nothing.
Do you hold the writing implement strangely, or do you hold it like a normal person?
No. I hold it like a normal person. I know, by the way, it's not strangely. That's a weird, because in some parts of the world, I know, certain African countries, they have just a different, pattern for holding the pen.
Yeah. But I mean, normal here, for your area, like how it's taught.
Yeah, exactly. And normal for our area is the same way that most, Europeans, I know how they write, for example. Americans, I think you guys also hold it between your index and middle finger with your thumb over the pen, right?
Yeah, well, personally, I hold it. I grip it at the end as if I'm dangling it from my hand.
Exactly. Or you just fist it. You just grab
paper.
I was gonna ask you, Gopnik, when you write in your Slavic languages in cursive, is it like Russian cursive, which is basically fucking impossible to read?
Yeah, pretty much. It's got a completely different take, even on Latin alphabet when you write in cursive, than the one you would see, for example, in the English or French language. But also in Cyrillic, it's pretty wild. It looks beautiful, but somebody needs to know your handwriting to actually guess it. Which I my dad gave me so much fucking shit for writing in a really ugly manner, just like you. Which karma exists, bitch, because you gave me shit and you told me that I'm gonna be nothing if I write like a barbarian or whatever the fuck. And now, motherfucker, you write on keyboards with your index fingers, bitch. Look at me now. I love my dad. I'm kidding, but who is the illiterate one now, motherfucker? Seriously.
Dude, at the hospital. Of course, yeah. By the way, the stereotype of doctors writing horribly is everywhere in the world, including where I'm at. So the nurses are never weirded out by the fact that my handwriting is hideous. But I get so irrationally angry when the nurse's handwriting is bad. I'm like, you're supposed to be neat, motherfucker. I'm supposed to be able to read what you write. Oh man. And every hospital around the world has that same cringe joke where it's like, a long time ago, a wise doctor said, and it's like a scribble pretending to be like the bad handwriting. I fucking hate that, And somebody will always do the crochet, croquette. No, croquette is potatoes, right?
Yeah. What are you trying to say?
They crochet, like the thing that old ladies make.
Like
it's
the
like
stitching,
a disc,
like
and then
sewing,
yeah, exactly. Whatever the fuck, all those synonyms.
Yeah.
Yes, to me, they're synonyms at least. Yeah, they'll make one of those where anyway,
cross stitch. I mean. That's what is it. Cross stitch?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't fucking know. Somebody
drop it in the comments.
I have a doctor I work with, by the way, who makes like socks and like hats,
Aw.
and, and they wear stuff that they stitch all the time,
That's
and
nice.
they stitch at work. It's super cute.
That's
I think.
great. I love it.
And they also have a bag that has like a meme, a stitching meme on it. I'm like, I love this. I love that you're a part of a community. I love this for you.
Community.
Oh my! It's more wholesome than what the fuck we're
no
part of,
kidding.
honestly. Okay. Guys, I have a story for you.
Oh, please.
All right. So there was a patient in a particular. This person is like commuting basically. He went abroad and he went to go visit another country to visit his partner in that country. And of course, as two people are going to do, they want to have relations. But this man developed priapism, which is basically a prolonged, painful erection. And he had this for basically every time he would try to initiate, he would develop this, and then he can't,
Yeah.
the what's it called, the aubergine emoji, the eggplant emoji. That's basically what happened to his dick.
Oh, jeez.
And he had to fly and basically have a layover where we're at. And basically had to get looked at.
Oh.
So he just, and I
guy.
was like, imagine having to go on a plane with just a stiffy for like 8 hours and have to wait to get back so you can get proper medical attention. I felt bad for the guy.
He goes through the metal detector. He's like, all right, raise your arms. He's like, no, I can't. Raise your arms.
Oh my god. But yeah, so that was number one. Number two, I had man with very large balls as well. So the ball contending is back again.
Yes.
But this time it was one-sided, unilateral ball swelling.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it was a specimen. It was. Do you know what it looked like? It looked like you had a quail egg next to an ostrich egg. That's what it looked like.
Oh my God.
It was ridiculous. And do you want to know the best part about it? Is this man? He what's it called? He fell. Back in his home country, basically, he fell and hit himself in the testicle, and that's why it swelled up so much. But also, in between him falling and getting the testicle bruise, he also got shot somewhere, somehow. And by the way, he came in to get checked in again for other reasons. He came in to get you not for the gunshot, but for the enlarged testicle, which I like. I like the priorities there. But all right, fair enough.
Correct priorities.
And finally, there was a particular old lady that needed to be shocked today. So for it was for an arrhythmia, not just. No, I didn't go and be like boo and like fucking
flashes the old lady.
Scare her.
She probably liked it.
She had arrhythmia, so we had to do it's called cardioversion, where you
Is that
basically just
different
zap it.
from a like trying to resuscitate?
Yeah, it is different because the it's lower what's it called amount of joules, so it's a lower basically intensity electrical shock, and it's done under controlled conditions and whatnot. Resuscitation is usually because the person's about to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, but anyways, yeah, it was very. I don't know, surreal to do because the lady was awake and then we put her to sleep. And by the way, I've done this several times. This is the first time that I'm the guy who's basically responsible for it. Normally, I'm the one who just says not prescribes it, not demands it. What's the fucking correct English for this? Requests it, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I'm the one who basically sends in the request, and then a different department ends up doing it. But this time I was the guy, so I went and I had to shock the old lady, and it's very seeing an old person just like writhing like a fish, and then afterwards they wake up and they're like, "Hey, I feel so much better." It's
good.
It's just very surreal. No, she lived, of course. I wouldn't be telling you this story if it's.
Yeah, I was waiting for the dark twist.
Yeah.
No, alhamdulillah, no dark twist. The lady was very happy. She, very sweet old lady. She was telling me about her cheese, what's it called? What is wrong with my English? I want to say cheese growing. You don't fucking grow cheese. What is the word? Cheese making, I guess?
Yeah, cheese making's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, her cheese making, basically. That was her personal hobby. She was telling
All
me about
kinds
that.
of cute hobbies. You got stitching, you got cheese making.
Yeah, that's what motherfuckers do when they can't drink.
they be productive.
They stitch and they
do
grow
be-
cheese on trees, man. Cheese on trees, that even fucking rhymes. But speaking of old motherfucking people, like yesterday I went and I had a few drinks and very good, like voluptuous, like very far Eastern European meal with a close friend of mine, and he has like this epic gaming rig, and he was like, "Man, I like unlocked absolutely everything in the new Call of Duty. You want to play some fucking multiplayer while we chill? Like we didn't have much to do." I'm like, fuck yeah, this like vibes like when I was fucking 15 or 16, why not? And I genuinely felt felt like an old man, because back in my day and COD 4 Modern Warfare, or even Modern Warfare 2, you had like your 5 attachments, you had your 7-8 perks, and you had your 10 maps, and you do your fucking thing. Here, every gun can be modified with 10 different attachments, and then the individual attachment can also be modified, and then it also has different bullets that you can use, and then it is also like the weight of the gun, how much you have on the left, or the aim down sight speed changes, how fast you run changes, if when you jump you can shoot while you jump like a motherfucking Max Payne or not changes. It's like kids, like I thought the point was we run away from school to play video games. This has like more data to keep track of than a typical linear algebra test. Like I genuinely felt old. I was like, this like when the actual match starts and you get to kill motherfuckers, that felt great. Now go back to my Slavic roots of mass murder, but right before it felt like a job. It felt like I'm in the office. I don't know why you people do this to yourselves, but hey. I guess the newer and newer generations are more and more advanced warfare, more advanced than the previous ones, so they can actually process all this data. To me, it was insane to just be noob tube all the time in Modern Warfare 2 on the fucking airport map. I think I went through like 5 joysticks. Yeah. Now you guys, like, there's like 700 different types of overpowered guns you can make. I don't know. Cheerio. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, this is the first one I've played in, I don't know, probably a decade or so. And so, yeah, there was definitely a learning curve. But now I just kind of make cursed guns. Like I make the shortest barreled sniper rifle you can, remove the scope, remove the stock, and just run around with it, iron sights. So it's goofy. You can still do fun stuff.
All this sounds like fun live stream stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about any of this shit. I haven't played any fucking Call of Duty, I don't think, at least. Aside from the one with the zombies.
Oh yeah, that's classic. I love it.
That sounds like such a fucking boomer. The guy with the one that you jump with, Oh, he's Italian. He has a mustache.
Thank you. Made me feel better about myself. Being old. But then again, playing Call of Duty as a Slav or an Arab is very painful. So you saved yourself because 90% of the game is you're either killing some Slav or some Arab.
Yeah, basically.
It's just straight up propaganda. Don't ever play the campaigns.
Do people even fucking get the games to play the campaigns?
Yeah, surprisingly, people were upset when there wasn't a campaign in the new Battlefield. It's not super new anymore, but yeah, the campaign in this latest Call of Duty, I think I've told you guys before, like the first mission has you piloting a rocket or something that kills basically a one-to-one reinterpretation of Soleimani. It was very clear.
Gay geopolitical destabilization. Let's go.
Yeah. USA.
I wish, imagine if there was like, I don't know, like a Chinese or a Russian or I don't know, like a Turkish fucking game. Yeah. And it's like the first mission is you're the guy in the plane aiming for the Twin Towers.
We wanted to create a fully immersive world, and sometimes it necessitates playing the bad guy. Like, and we tell them what they tell us for why they have their fucking airport murder mission in Modern Warfare 2.
By the way, before you crash into the plane and then it goes to black and then fades back in, and then it's like a phone that rings and you have like a dark hairy hand that basically picks up the phone and in some indiscernible language he's like just some nonsense like this. The fucking subtitles say it's done, and then on the other side you just see the lower face of a white man, older white man in a suit, and the implication being that it's George Bush. and then that's when the title screen comes up. We should fucking fund this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the deprogram. Your favorite 9/11 truther show. Oh my god! This show, of course, is made, of course, in part, in whole. I can't fucking speak to save my life today. Thanks to our patrons, who, of course, we couldn't possibly do this without. So a big thank you to all the people there. Wow. Special big thanks to our Habibis, who we have monthly chats with and everything. So go check that out. Check the tiers out. There's some lovely little perks for you in there, and more to come, of course, in the future. But with that said, today's topic is one that is very near and dear to all our hearts, but particularly Yugopnik's. Whatever heart is left after the corporate world has fucking eaten his soul out. And it is advertising. We're going to cover advertising as it currently is, how it was historically, how it developed, and of course all the necessary developments that capitalism forces down our throats, and of course also this self-help nonsense, which is the biggest form of personalized commodification. Yes, man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. So boys, could you please tell me what does advertising mean to you personally? All right, when you see the Dr. Pepper advertisement, JT, how does that mean?
You've destroyed my argument by saying Dr. Pepper advertisement, because that one works, but all the other
ones, like, for the brand that I like, it's actually an honest brand. It is actually a great product.
Yeah.
But all you other motherfuckers, you are brainwashed, right? We started this conversation, for me, like, whiskey tastes absolutely incredible. But like that stupid guy that drinks vodka, that is fucking disgusting. And then Hakeem comes and he's like, it all smells like fucking paint thinner to me, right?
Exactly.
That is the kind of beauty of advertising, is because it can convince you individually that this particular thing has like great qualities, while at the same time the guy next to you will believe some other thing has great qualities, while both of you will completely disagree on the qualities of those two things, because you have a completely different perception of it, which is why all our beautiful patrons supporting us on a monthly basis see great purpose in this. And when your mom says, yo bro, why the fuck you giving $20 to this fucking shit, tell her, mother, we are ideologically different in our perception of the Deprogram podcast. She will not know how to answer and probably think you're smart, right. So she will shut the fuck up. Sorry, yeah.
Facts and logic. All right. So in essence, with the memes aside, advertising when you distill it down, it's a form of propaganda. It's a way in which a message is portrayed to you, delivered in as simple and as clear of a way sometimes, or in very nefarious or even like subtext forms in other instances. Early on in history, by the way, advertising is not something that began 100 years ago. Advertising in general has existed as long as humanity has. It's just the sheer scale and complexity has increased. I'll use a bunch of examples. In ancient Samaria, in my neck of the woods, there are plenty of to this day they're still being found clay tablets which have nonsense accounting stuff, like how much grain was given to this dude and how much copper was delivered to that guy. Yeah, exactly. You gave me substandard copper. Exactly. If you're aware of the meme, but yeah, one of the oldest recipes for beer, for example, is on a Sumerian cuneiform tablet. And the very title is a form of advertising, which is the world's greatest beer. Apparently, they knew all the way back then. We perfected the recipe.
People are reading the tablet like, what's beer?
Exactly right. Yeah, or people could even fucking read. Jeez. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. But that is a simple example. Let's fast forward during Roman times in gladiator tournaments. Gladiators would actually advertise for local businesses before and after they would fight in the ring. So there was, things as benign as, hey, you want good olives? Go to Demetrius's olive stand. Or it could be, hey, you like brothels, but you don't want to cheat on your wife? We have the finest twinks in the land. And I don't know what to tell you. There were things that were very strange, but they did exist.
It's super wild how, like, in the period after that, as illiteracy increased, ironically, actually, in post-Roman Empire Europe, the towns and cities of the basically Middle Ages began to obviously grow, and because, again, the general population wasn't unable to read, they started moving from actually writing on advertising. So they started having those signs that you probably seen in like a lot of video games that, just symbolically show that this is the cobbler, this is the miller, this is the tailor, this is the blacksmith, with that particular image that is, related to it. I don't know, a horseshoe, a candle, a bag of flour. fruits and vegetables were like sold in the city square from the backs of carts and wagons, as we've all seen and interpretation or read in books and so on. But their like proprietors used street callers to announce their whereabouts, which is basically you pay a couple of kids a chunk of your profits for the day, or that's their job, and they literally run around shouting, hey, this guy has like much better grapes than the other guy. The practice of better informing buyers of what our product or service can do for them is basically as old as time and as old as labor, as Hakeem beautifully put. But like once production was elevated to a level where you had a multitude of choices between the same type of product, when we started like building bigger and bigger cities, and when like geographic distance like no longer defined what product you would buy from where, a little known thing called trends and fashions, or whatever the fuck you want to call them, was basically born. And with trends, it kind of no longer mattered only what you bought, but also like where you bought it from, and whether said seller pitched the idea of the product to the audience as belonging to said trend. And as trends changed and evolved, here we're still talking about like 18th century, like 17th century, and even before that, businesses kept up with them in the constant rebranding and repackaging, which that it wasn't called that way back then, but this is how we see it now, of those products, is to obviously better sell it and increase their chances of selling it against the competitor, who often had a very similar product, sometimes the exact same product. So that era, while having developed advertising as its own separate field in what we today call business, still at the end of the day was just another branch of, I guess, salesmanship, of outwitting your competition, by telling them why your product is the best, or why it's most in line in what the kids today say is popping off right now. And there's as we're going through these eras, obviously we started with just informing people about what you're selling and how it's the best or how it's good, then trying to adapt it to a sort of culture that is growing in the larger cities, the different subcultures and so on. And we move into, I guess, the modern era of advertising that with JT and Hakeem we've talked about plenty, I think, here on the podcast, but still I can do a quick recap. It starts with a little known man related to good old Freud called Edward Bernays. He, elevated advertising into a completely different philosophy, we can call it that, one which no longer cared about, the attributes of products, the price, and so on. They cared about attracting the idea of owning those products to deeper levels of, self-actualization. Stuff like real men drive this type of car, real women use this type of detergent. Jesus, that's fucking sexist. Men drive cars, women clean houses. But you get the point. Back then, they literally, that's how they sold. So, if you're wealthy, if you wear this, you're progressive, if you wear that, you care about group A, then buy this. This approach changed basically the game forever and ever. And you no longer have to, beat your competition in actual production if you convince your client base that your product is superior culturally, that it's deeper, that buying it is either meaningful or will find you meaning. This, as you can see, advertising steps out of just salesmanship, as we've mentioned earlier. It's its own animal now. Being able to, pitch and sell a product as a door-to-door salesman, or the guy on the phone today, or the guy with a sleekly established website, etc., is also very important. But that necessitates, for you to actually be better than the competition. If you properly utilize advertising now, you can pitch it to people for very different aspects of their personality, other than their use the use value of said products. And contemporary advertising continues, I guess, this trend. But now what we see very recently, the falling rate of profit being, an ever-present influence, they are now taking it, a step further. And nowadays, today's like real advertising masters will pitch you basically the same ideas as Edward Bernays, but they will do so without you even knowing it's an ad. And for example, TikTok is currently where they're seeing like insane, out of this world returns on investment because kids don't want to see the ads. Which is obviously not an option. So let's show them shit that's essentially an ad, but one that they will consider organic content. At one point, 99% of everything that we see might be an ad without us even knowing what that it is. But yeah, that's kind of the gradation from how I see it from having studied this shit or whatever of how advertising developed. Obviously with massive oversimplifications, but at the end of the day, the core philosophy behind it changed, and it saw mass profitability because the core philosophy behind it changed. But the philosophy of approach, but when it comes to the philosophy of what it needs to result in, be it government advertising, which for some reason we call propaganda, and this other thing we call advertising, when it comes to, like private market oriented advertising, it is always to sell more. It has no deeper undertones than that. When you see almost any brand or something that you deeply associate with or whatever, be 99% certain that this is completely manufactured because it wants people like you of your demographic, psychographic, social standing, and so on to like this particular thing. There is nothing organic about it. There is nothing quote unquote natural about it. It is carefully designed by sellouts like myself for you, in order for you, when you see it on the shelf or when you see an ad, to feel like, man, they see me. They really see me. We don't see you. We just want your fucking money. And that is very important to understand. You can appreciate, your enemy's tools, which, for example, for the capitalist is advertising. And I think they brilliantly developed it. They took like aspects of psychoanalysis, which was supposed to help us live better lives, and they commodified it to such an extent that they are now using it to sell us chewing gum. While disgusting, obviously, it is so immensely, in an evil, like mastermind way, impressive.
Oh, very, very nicely said. It kind of, in a very succinct way, you're going to present the various stages of development of advertising, but just general points to touch on. Of course, as you have made very clear, the relations to means of production and material basis of society informs the form of advertising that is made. That's why 2,000 years ago was fundamentally different in advertising than it is now. That's number one. Number two, also, the most beautiful point that Yugopnik made that I just would like to reinforce is the fact that now, as advertising has developed to a point where they try to make it semi-organic or try to entirely make it organic, they also try to link lifestyleism or the lifestyle that you want to lead, quote unquote, into the advertisement itself. That's why sometimes they do this in very transparent ways. For example, like the Pride Month, June 30th or 31st or whatever, and then the second it ticks over to July 1st, everything, all the rainbow flags are taken away. That's very transparent, of course. But then you have other ways. For example, like in the 30s to the 40s period, cigarettes, for example, weren't very popular with women, and they want to increase that demographic's consumption of cigarettes. So then they instead, cigarette companies at the time drove a massive campaign to try to link cigarettes with quote-unquote female liberation or the presence of women in the workplace. Like a pants-wearing woman smoking a cigarette, and it's called the torch of freedom. Like this fucking nonsense. Despite the fact that when you think about it, what does smoking intrinsically have to do with female liberation? Does a woman who doesn't smoke, is she suddenly less liberated because she doesn't smoke? And the fact that in and of itself, rather than you living your own lifestyle, you having to be in direct relation and connection with whatever's being advertised makes you part of that, for example, community, or embody that ideology or that idea, that ideal, etc., etc. And this kind of leads into the point of plenty of psychological manipulation, artificial demand, among other concepts. I would like to build up on this. So, boys, what would you have to say about whatever perceived inadequacy that you could possibly have that can only be corrected through your consuming? Okay.
Well, isn't that kind of the beauty of it, that all perceived inadequacy is externally acquired? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You learn that you're missing something. We're all born as beautiful little monkeys, little gorgeous creatures, just like JT's lovely Evie. But then, as we grow older and as we interact with whatever the status quo system is for us right now in most places, the neoliberal capitalism.
The bulletproof backpack is advertised to her. And she goes to her dad, JT. Like, but it has wings characters on it.
It's got little flowers on it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like, I'm always like super scary of using Evie as an example of anything except like in beautiful scenarios. Even though we put her in the post-apocalypse, now we're putting her in a school shooting
all the time.
Like it's fine. She listen back to this and be like, my uncles are funny little pieces of shit. But
she's Chairman Evie. She'll lead the revolution.
Absolutely.
What's it called? The bulletproof backpacks are for her enemies.
Exactly.
She can have a little more fun.
Yeah, she hunts them
little
down.
walks. Exactly right.
I'll give her a nice imported Makarov for her 18th birthday.
Inshallah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, sorry.
But no, jokes aside, like there is a point to be made about the inherent need to own, to have, to gather, to forge, to satisfy that point, on the Maslow pyramid, which is necessary for you to satisfy before growth towards true self-fulfillment can be achieved.
Exactly.
And
the Funko Pop.
Yeah, exactly.
Personal actualization through
the Funko Pop. The Funko Pop kind of is a metaphor for hierarchy, the way it spins up, But there's nothing wrong, in wanting to be surrounded by like beautiful things like Funko Pops, by art, by pleasing architecture,
That's
by
why I'm surrounded
high
by you boys.
ceilings, by beautiful views. Wanting more out of life is good, because still wanting means that you're alive. I was very proud of that. But one of the many reasons our true, real material wants are never really even partly clenched, or satisfied, is because those very beautiful things are hoarded by the super wealthy, while we in return are given, and this is a point I really want to like hammer home, we're giving fictionalized, fake, made up ideals of what is and what is not a symbol of well-being or of wealth and so on. Through the very real power of advertising, we're injected with like a new value system, what we started talking about previously, so that we forget our true inherent human value system. Stuff like, you'll never be able to live in anything larger than a fucking shoebox apartment. So you search for the same category of fulfillment elsewhere. And there's more than plenty of brands that will come and pitch you, cubicle living as trendy, good for you and the environment, and how it's actually great. Your apartment is like 40 square meters. And also here are like 55 retractable sofas we can sell you to fit in this small apartment that we want you to live in, so that you can actually use our product. Random example, but you fucking get it. No parks for you to go to, for a walk nearby, because the way we set up the city is super insane. No need. Look at this nice, big, spacious mall we built for you. For you to have more than enough places to walk around while being bombarded by fucking advertising. I don't know. You're borderline broke? Well, no worries. Here's a loan for the newest iPhone, even though you have the previous version, or a sick ass pair of kicks with, with that shit, everyone will think that you're balling. The ultra wealthy get to experience our world in its true elevated, genuine beauty, while for the rest of us, we are given made-up allegories of that beauty, and because we've internalized it to such an extent, we know nothing else now, quite literally.
Yeah.
Literally. If I say literally one more time, please shoot me.
You got it. Well, I think this is the thing, is that the ultra wealthy and those pulling the strings on all this stuff, they see us as, if you're playing like The Sims or some like mall building game. I don't play those games. Kelsey likes them. But, you're like the little figures who are walking around with like either the green smiley face over your head or the red angry face. Like Elon Musk the other day was saying how he genuinely thinks most people are NPCs. And I can understand why they would hold
the biggest
that.
NPC.
Exactly. I can understand why they'd hold that belief if they're able to manufacture this construct, this this little microcosm of the real world that is just entirely fabricated, and you're able to feed people whatever you want them to consume, and they will consume it because that's all they've been exposed to on TV and in their books and all that stuff. And it's frustrating to see that, and it's frustrating to see how many people will consume this stuff passively and willingly. But it's also the type of thing, even people who are aware of it, like we're very aware of this type of thing. But every once in a while, I'll see a commercial and I'll be like, oh, damn, that does look kind of cool. That looks nice. But
white BMW now, bitch. Unironically, I want one. Fuck you. Sorry. Yeah. Black one, though.
Yeah, the car commercials are good. They figured them out. The truck commercials in the U.S. have really figured it out. It's amazing what they've managed to do. They make every truck driving guy look so cool. He's fit. He's wearing a nice like puffy vest thing over his trail walking gear. He splashes through the mud puddle. His dog jumps out of the truck and like goes and runs ahead of him. Yeah, it's like it's perfect. Everything is immaculate. But I'm curious, in the United States, our commercials have all kind of migrated to showing a vision of the home that is a certain way. And I'm curious if it's the same in where you guys live, or if the desire is to push people to want something different. So here, for example, every commercial where they show a family using a product in the home. The home is a standalone house. It is immaculately clean. It's got white walls, white backsplash, white countertops. The happy 20-something yoga teacher is able to afford all this somehow, but that's besides the point. That is the vision that we are presented with in our commercials. What does the home look like in your commercials?
Selling a lifestyle, the same thing. That's exactly right. You look at it and it's like, what are you? This is actually, I've noticed I'm such a boomer. Sometimes I'll watch an advertisement and I have very little fucking patience for this garbage. So 5 seconds in, I'm looking, I was like, what are you selling? It should be immediately clear what the fuck you're trying to sell me. Why are you showing me some happy guy going to work and then it ends up being fucking like deodorant commercial? Or something completely unrelated, like he recently got a loan, but it's showing him fucking at his artisanal guitar making shop. I'm like, what the fuck? Just
pharmaceutical commercials are especially bad about that, because you're like, okay, there are two people in bathtubs overlooking the cliffs of Dover. Okay, what are they selling? And then eventually they get to the farm, because they can't show anything else, because there's nothing, it's a pill. You take the pill and that's that. It affects whatever. So they have to show something appealing to sell a feeling about, this is how you'll feel when you take this medication, and it's exactly. But what I'm curious really is about, like, is the homes themselves in your commercials, are they also this like pristine white void, or is the decoration different?
They're more ethnic in my parts, but kind of. They're still very nice and big and whatnot, but the general standards here are kind of like that as well, or in just the West Asian, North African areas in general. We don't have the same issues that the United States or like some Western European countries do. But you go, Nick, how about you?
Yeah, that depends on what demographic they are trying to hit. If they're playing on the patriotism, if they're playing, on the culture, then they spin it as a very local but still wealthy home. If they're pitching to IT experts, hipsters, and so on, then it's a very, very fancy, wealthy home. But it's always a wealthy home. It never looks run down and never looks fucked up, etc., etc. I even I worked on an advertising campaign for a massive. I worked at an agency for a massive telecommunications company, and they brought that up. They were like, all the ads everywhere are exactly like the homes presented in them are fucking stupid. Let's actually commodify the fact that other people are over commodifying this, and create an ad where we talk about this point, and where we say literally in the ad, like we made the ad and it started with, we're not about to show you this, and it's like a super fancy fancy apartment, and with super cool animations, it turns into like a tiny typical local apartment. Blah blah blah. And the pitch in the end was like the phone provider for real people, not made up or whatever, etc. etc. No, because you see the intrinsic it growth potential of almost every campaign. You brought this up, absolutely great point. But also an advertising expert will think of it, and he will manage to profit off of this discontent with misrepresentation in advertising. I mean, what is, for example, representation in film? Absolutely phenomenal, very good. Just 99% of white motherfuckers there, but everybody listening, with a bit more melanin in their skin, they're not. Like the Hollywood execs are not putting you in these fucking films or making films and shows that completely evolve around characters from minorities because they give a fuck about representation, my brother, in any god. They are doing it because your demographic is growing in that particular fucking country, and there's more of you that can buy fucking tickets, and they need to put you in the fucking film so they can sell more tickets to you. This is another form of advertising, quite literally just an indirect one. Ads we've started to really fucking notice. That's why what we mentioned previously, for kids, like, it's going to be ads that are not noticeable to be ads. Everything in a way like that, it self-improves constantly, because any criticism thrown at advertising, for example, you're selling fucking cigarettes, what the fuck, stop doing that, they will be able to completely commodify in the other aspect of their massive corporation, because Philip Morris doesn't just own cigarettes, my friend. So while they're selling you cigarettes through one of their companies in the corporation, from the other one they're selling you smoking alternatives, nicotine patches, and IQOS in Europe. Those are super popular. I don't know, the with intense heating without any burn type of cigarettes, or vapes, or whatever the fuck. It always self-corrects and always grows, because again, like everything, I think people's fucking ears are gonna bleed because JT Hakim and I repeat it all the time, because everything at the end of the day is systematic. What the system pushes any sort of thing towards. And as we mentioned, advertising not necessarily bad. You want to tell people that your fucking aluminium is better than the other guy's aluminium. But because the system inspires it to be the way it is always going to go into that direction, which is inherently manipulative and inherently super unhealthy for our psyche, because it's completely molding our understanding of what even motherfucking reality is, bro. Like at some point we will be more than happy with living in a garage if they manage to spin living in a garage as a lifestyle. I mean, they already spin basically homelessness, living in your fucking RV, as a super legit big G shit to do, which it's cool, it's fun, you get to travel. But if you live for years and years in your RV, I'm not judging, but that is not good, my friend. That is very fucking uncomfortable. We should not accept that as the new possible reality, because then they will be more than happy with just letting us live in RVs. Sorry for the rant, but you get the point. That was the original, question. Yeah.
Yeah, and that leads into the individualization of responsibility within, for example, in an advertisement, they'll try to push everything that is systematic in everything that's wrong in the current system onto you as an individual, right? For example, climate change is not a global issue that mostly governments, usually militaries, need to be the ones to kind of be taken care of by reducing emissions. Number one, number two, also like a thousand other things that could be done, but state directed changes. Instead of this, no, it's your carbon footprint. Okay, you are using too many plastic bags, or not using enough plastic bags, depending, right? You need to use the wooden toothbrush, otherwise, like all this nonsense. And this kind of goes into almost every sphere of life, and it embodies the capitalist mindset and the hegemony over society in a different way. It's kind of the same the point that Yugopnik made. When our side makes in this sort of information, it's considered propaganda, but when the capitalist side does it, it's considered just regular advertising. Right. And that's what it is. It's capitalist propaganda, trying to sell you a different kind of lifestyle, trying to offset the issues of the system onto you, trying to extract as much profit out of you even after it's already extracted your surplus value. And also it plays on all the messed up nonsense through, as before mentioned, the psychological manipulation aspect. This is the last point I want to do before we hop on to the self-help guru nonsense we're going to have lots of fun with. But when I went to Europe the first time, the thing that struck me the most was how much or how sexualized most advertising was. It's something I wasn't used to. In fact, I remember the very first billboard I saw was basically a woman with just her, basically in a bikini, massive tits, and then next to it, they're selling beer or something.
Yeah.
Like completely unrelated. And I remember the next thing that stood out to me was European commercials, in comparison, are somehow tame compared to American ones, like fast food American commercials, where they have a woman in a bikini, she's eating a fucking burger. Why is she almost naked? I don't fucking.
Yeah.
I mean, you understand why the reason for this stuff, right? Or they have like a car and they'll have a naked woman basically on it for some fucking reason.
Well, it's sex sells, obviously, and everyone's aware of that now. So now a lot of them are like meta sex sells, where it's like, oh, this is funny because there's a naked woman in a whatever car commercial or eating a burger seductively, and then someone says something, does some quippy one-liner, and like, I get it, and then people suddenly like the commercial because it's self-referential.
That's gonna be the next step. After the ads shouldn't look like ads. We're gonna go right back at what JT. I'm gonna steal that term. It's like meta. What did you say? Meta ironic or whatever the fuck. We're gonna make ads that look so much like ads, that are like super much like ads. Instead of like one chick with big tits, there's gonna be like fucking 7, and they're gonna be sprayed with fucking rainbow sour cream or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Is that sexy? I guess it might be sexy. And it's gonna be sort of like, oh look, our brand is actually honest. We're trying to sell you shit. We're not trying to like manipulate you. We're actually trying to sell you shit. Sorry, Hakeem.
And now, no, and you're completely right. And now they twist the other way before they get to the meta irony bit, which is most likely the next thing coming. Although we probably still do see it every once in a while. We're not like the usual commercials you watch, but that nonsense. It goes the other way, where then they're like, you know what? All these basically quote unquote ideal Western beauty standard type women, are instead substituted for quote unquote alternative bodies or whatever other bullshit nonsense advertising term they want to use, where they'll have people of different skin colors, different heights, and they'll have women of different weights, for example, and different sorts of blemishes and whatever else, trying to do the same thing. Fundamentally manipulate you psychologically in order to consume by making you feel included, despite the fact that the only reason they're doing this is to be able to reach into your wallet, not because they give a shit about you being, for example, a heavier set black woman, for example. They don't give a fuck. But this is a tired point. Let's get to the actual meat of this episode, which is self-help guru nonsense, which is basically advertising personified. It is all the bullshit we speak about in what's it called? And not immortalized. Thank God these people fucking die. but like congealed is a better word. Congealed within a single, thoroughly unlikable human being. Fundamentally, by the way, the political repression, sometimes I think maybe no, possibly not, but then I remember these people exist, and I'm like, you know what, we need the holes. We need them to do with the cockpit remains.
Authoritarian hours all along.
Oh fuck. So boys, please tell me, I get a feeling that's going to be the teaser. Oh my god. Boys, tell me, what the fuck is the self-help guru? What are they selling? What are they? Where do they come from? Why are they cringe? There you go.
Well, Bill Burr has like this very funny joke where he's like, I'm against mass genocide, but if we were to like help the planet improve massively, by destroying one particular group of people, we could do so very easily, which is basically everybody that goes on a cruise ship. Like every cruise ship would just sink it, right? We would help the planet immensely. Well, I would add to this, like everybody that goes to self-help gurus, we could like recruit them for the cause, and they could continue to be as cringe as possible. And then everybody who goes to these shows, we put on a nice little long list, and then we cleanse them because they're existence is meaningless anyways. I'm actually kidding. No, most of these people like prey on very vulnerable individuals that are genuinely struggling, and they're trying to find either a father figure, mother figure, business leader, etc., to lead them to finding, as you said, a particular solution. And they've developed hundreds upon hundreds of different methods of how to do this. They've
entered every single sphere of culture and business that you can basically think of, from religious organizations all the way down to teaching you how to pick up chicks at a bar. Self-help gurus have a more diversified portfolio than most fucking countries out there, I think. And some of them, target even different demographics and are able to balance those out. But yes, at the end of the day, they are how the market responds to a void which is omnipresent over every single one of us in terms of not really knowing what the fuck is happening, the sense of extreme anxiety, the sense of not knowing what is coming, really feeling like we've been screwed, and instead of looking at real material reality, the fascist pushes you into reactionary thought. The self-help guru tells you, no, you can actually fix this, either by being very positive or following these steps that I followed, which is basically become a self-help guru and charge people $600 per lesson. But it is yet another, however maybe sometimes very dangerous source of manipulation for the very real feeling of alienation. For because of the fact that they prey, and they know very well that they prey on these beautiful little lost sheeps of our world, they deserve nothing but the harshest of judgment.
Yeah.
In a way to encapsulate, I think, what Yugopnik said, it's these people inherently provide bullshit, personal, quote-unquote, solutions to things that are systemic in society. And it's just another manifestation of the rot that is at the center of capitalism. At the end of the day, just like they themselves are commodified and they personify advertising, they themselves are advertising the bullshit back to other people. So it's a cyclical development, which in the end results in basically people who are exactly like Yopnik said, down on the luck, they're poor or some other issue in their life, lonely, etc., and they're being provided the most nonsense fucking platitudes, when we know time and time again, as well as in the research and everything else, that the solutions to most of these problems are systemic. You need proper state-directed healthcare, you need a universal education, you need properly developed cultural institutions and societies built around actually being sociable human beings, not being fucking atomized fucking individuals just to be able to go profits for some nonsense company. And to the end of it, this is not the core point here. But I cut JT off, sorry.
No, that's exactly right. That's roughly what I was gonna talk about. It's this whole industry is just the logical poison fruit of the tree of individualism that we've planted in modern capitalism. It's when we have no systemic recourse to solve our problems, when we don't have time to devote to figuring these things out, it's very easy to reach for something that's proposed as a solution, something that's pitched by all your favorite CEOs or influencers. I learned so much from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Go and pick that book up at your local Barnes & Noble and read that in the little bit of free time that you have before you have to go back to work. So it's easy and it's comforting in a way to say, okay, I'm improving myself by reading about the successes of other people, and maybe some of that will trickle down into my own life and I will be successful too. And it's very predatory. And this extends to things like mass religion in the United States, especially where there's a large prosperity gospel industry. Like you have these preachers, they're sick people who prey on those who have no means to support themselves, and they're looking for safety and security in their faith, but also it's being sold to them not only as a faith comfort, but also as a financial comfort. Say, if you give 10% of your income here today, and help fund my private jet, is the subtext there. God will bless you tenfold, and you will receive financial safety throughout the rest of your life. And it's sickening to watch, and you can see these people on TV. Just search, prosperity gospel preacher. But it's the same kind of thing. They are selling a false hope that that does not exist and is not reachable by the average person on an individual level. It's selling a solution that is not a solution. In order to actually address these problems, the problems of poverty, the problems of alienation, we need actual systemic change, not individual platitudes.
Exactly right, and that's kind of the crux of the matter of this discussion around self-help guru type people. We're making fun of them, sure, but the thing the poison that they're selling is, of course, anything it touches, it also corrupts. At the core of the issue, as we said, problems are systematic. Now, what this means is that not only does it engender nonsense solutions, or not nonsense. Inadequate solutions to people's issues, but also it develops a sort of like almost a petty bourgeois idea or mental space with this idea of marketing yourself. Everything in life, you have to market yourself to your spouse, to your friends, at work. You need to become your own brand. This fucking nonsense, which at the end of the day, instead of developing solutions more directed towards things that would help, end up basically turning you back towards the self-help guru nonsense. I want to move on to actual self-help, possibly, and then we can talk about what socialism has to do with all this. But, boys, in your opinion, and you can just go very quickly through this, what would actual true self-help be? In your mind, at least, outside of a capitalist system?
I think a big part of it would have to be not targeted at the individual, saying, hey, here are some steps you can take to improve your financial stability or reduce your carbon footprint or whatever. It would have to be more community-oriented or comprehensive, in which people are doing these things together in a way that is more, democratic. It's less, hey, this is your fault, and it's more cognizant of how things actually change. Because each person, if you take climate change, for example, even if every single individual person said, all right, I'm going to stop eating meat, I'm going to bike to work, that is a drop in the bucket compared to whether that's animal agriculture, whether that's the fossil fuel industry, whether that's cruise lines, whether that's the military-industrial complex. That's a huge one, and that's not going away. So we need to be cognizant of the fact that individual solutions are not solutions. So I think anything that expands it to the wider society as a whole, or even at the community level, would be a step in the right direction.
I completely agree. I think we can round off today's discussion with how a potential socialist future, inshallah, will look upon these sort of things. For example, the first question I would like to ask, and maybe this would be interesting to hear from our resident advertising expert, Jotnik, will there be advertising under socialism? What do you think?
Well, as long as there are commodities, as long as there are... there is a
commodity production under socialism.
What the fuck? No.
Somehow I knew he was he was a suck dem. I'm kidding. I'm fucking. The point is so nuanced.
Lapsus memoriale. Yes. As long as there is a difference in product A, product B, and product C in socialism, then there will be a necessity to inform the wider public on what they're getting themselves into when they either purchase or hopefully when they acquire, would be a better term, a particular item or another. But because we will cleanse the so-called every so-called industry from unnecessary competition in the likes of having 700 brands of cereal and 300 brands of the same basic fucking milk. That type of advertising, which is trying to sell you one type of cereal versus another type of cereal, which is another brand of the same cereal, to you will most definitely disappear. Advertising will play an informative role. It will play the role of basic propaganda that it was like in its original form, arguably even pre-17th, 16th century, which was, this is what exists, this is where you can find it, this is why this is what it does, and this is the quality level at which it's been built. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I would also like to add on to the point that a lot of the advertising that would take place within a social system, for example, would also be like quote unquote good news advertising or developments within society advertising, like, hey, we built 13 new schools in this particular region of the country over the past couple of months. We've done this, we've done that. Oh, this national irrigation project has resulted in an increased yield of this much percent, and nice graphical representation, etc. You see this across society, so that you can have, instead of the 24/7 news cycle of just pessimism upon pessimism that capitalism advertises to you, you'd end up seeing a different side. Which, by the way, interestingly, the Soviet experience of news and one of the big shock factors for post-Soviet people was the fact that news, particularly for the Western news tradition, is so absolutely pessimistic and negative compared to what was, for example, the Soviet news tradition, which was, for the most part, matter of factly, if that makes sense, matter-of-factly represent the news abroad, while the positives that's going on are also shown to you, so you feel like, on the whole, there is some development in society, unlike, for example, I don't know if you've ever turned on fucking Fox News or some shit, or CNN or anything like this.
Our cities are falling. We are all going to die.
The migrant caravan. Oh, fucking Gonzalez fucking my wife, not because I can't get it up anymore, but because of the Jews.
Oh my god.
Right. But yeah,
also, you will see like massive media campaigns by committed to a technological breakthrough, so that it informs the billions of citizens of socialist planet Earth on how that can improve their particular lives. It will inform them on beautiful destinations that they could visit, because they still have a limited 1890, hopefully in socialism 120-year lifespan, so they have certain summers that they can spend here or there. Like it will still
JT's
be
fat ass.
it will still be advertisers amongst each other, even though they're not going to be called advertisers, might still even compete, but they not compete in increasing the profit of some random spoiled greasy exec. They'll be competing on how can I more beautifully represent this new achievement that we as a society have gotten, or how can I better inform the wider public on matters that, for example, aren't necessarily very interesting or kind of boring, etc., etc. So you gotta introduce them with a bit of a twist, and etc., etc. Basically the creativity of what we today define as advertising, or more honestly as propaganda, will still be there, but it's a twisted part of basically pushing consumerism for the sake of consumerism will not, So if you're a random advertising guy listening to this, ironically, your job will be reformatted, but not necessarily would completely disappear. You might actually start to feel a little thing called purpose, and not only sell fucking sneakers to motherfuckers, but inform that kid that's living in a place that is still under development, that lost a fucking leg back in the capitalist era from mining fucking cobalt for iPhones, that holy fucking shit, we now have bionic legs that if they call this and this number will be delivered to their fucking door, so they know. Information, exactly. Actual informing.
Yeah. No. Red fash tanky authoritarianism. Okay, if you're not being advertised, what's it called?
Reese's Puffs.
Reese's Puffs. I don't even fuck. Oh my god! But no, I was gonna say, the grease they use to deep fry the Dino Nuggies, right? If you're not being advertised then it's authoritarian red fash tanky. Okay.
True.
And of course, the final question of today's episode is: will self-help exist under socialism? Fuck no! All these people will be dead. So there you go. You're welcome. This has been the Deep Program. No, like a slightly longer answer to this is self-help. Not really, because there would be community approaches to helping, right?
Yeah.
But there would be, of course, actual quote-unquote self-help. There would be actual directed help towards individuals through therapists and psychologists and actual people who are trained in these things.
Community health centers, everything from physical to mental to all of that stuff. There's common sense stuff that it is not profitable under the current system, so it would just take a little bit of investment, but it would massively benefit every single person in the society.
Exactly right. JT, I'm surprised that you can. JT, I'm surprised that you could imagine such a bright potential future living in the U.S. Community health center. What is community? What is health? And I mean, center is
center.
I mean, World Trade Center. I know
that sounds authoritarian. That sounds centralized.
The center of the world, America.
No. All right, everybody. Now, please remember to thank yourself, to thank your all the blessings that you've received for living in the post 9/11 world, for knowing that 9/11 happened. And for realizing that the truth shall set you free, and the truth being somewhere. You know what? I would love if somebody would do like a children's cartoon where there is a anthropomorphized Twin Towers and a like cartoon version of George Bush, and it's like a Wile E. Coyote type of deal where he keeps trying to blow them up, but he keeps failing. like a 5-episode 3-minute thing, and it would just be like super popular in Peru or something.
Yeah,
like one of those. Anyways, aside from this, please do make this and add us. Aside from this, though, we'd like to thank our patrons, of course, who we wouldn't be able to do this without. A big thanks to all the lovely people that support us. A big thanks to people also making all the interesting stuff, fun stuff on the subreddit, all the memes. That's it for this time. I hope you got your fix. This has been the Program. I'm Hakeem.
I'm JT.
And I'm Yugopnik. Insert ad about how patron paying money to the program is good.